Bill and Pete Go Down the Nile, written and illustrated by Tomie dePaola. It's a new school year as William Everett Crocodile and his trusty friend and toothbrush, Pete, prepare for a class trip down the Nile. They're ready for the mysterious Sphinx. They're ready for mummies and pyramids. Their teacher, Mrs. Ibis, has promised them a glimpse of the priceless jewel called the Sacred Eye of Isis. But are Bill and Pete ready for the bad guy, up to his usual no-good tricks? Tomorrow was the first day of school, and William Everett Crocodile, who was called Bill, and his friend Pete, who was his toothbrush, were getting ready. "Don't forget your new pencil box, Bill," said Mama. "And your new lunchbox," said Pete. "It'll be so nice to see Mrs. Ibis again, Mama," said Bill. "I wonder what you'll learn this year," said Mama. The next morning, after kissing Mama goodbye, Bill and Pete started off for school. It was fun to see all the other little crocodiles again. "Now, class," said Mrs. Ibis, "we are going to start this year by studying the history and geography of Egypt and the River Nile." "Oh, goody!" cried all of the children. "What did you learn today, Bill?" asked Mama. "We learned about the River Nile, Mama," said Bill. "Oh, it's nice to learn about your hometown," said Mama. On Tuesday, Mrs. Ibis told the class about the Sphinx. "Today we learned about the Sphinx, Mama," said Bill. "You mean Sphinx, Bill," said Pete. "And boy, it is weird looking." On Wednesday, Mrs. Ibis told the class all about the pharaohs, the pyramids, and mummies. "The pharaohs built the pyramids so they could be buried there with all of their riches," Mrs. Ibis told them. "When they died, they were wrapped up in long strips of cloth called mummies. The mummy was put in a beautiful case called a sarcophagus." "What'd you learn today, Bill?" said Mama. "Oh, Mama, we learned about the pharaohs and the pyramids," said Bill. "We learned about mummies and esophaguses." "You mean sarcophaguses?" said Pete. "How exciting," said Mama. On Thursday, Mrs. Ibis told the class about the Sacred Eye of Isis. "It is the most valuable jewel in the world," said Mrs. Ibis. "Ooh," said all the little crocodiles. "But," she added, "there is a saying that whoever owns it has bad luck." "Ooh," said all the little crocodiles. "And that is why it is kept in the Royal Museum," said Mrs. Ibis. "Now, how would you like to see the Sphinx, the pyramids, and the Sacred Eye of Isis?" "Oh, yes," said all the little crocodiles. "Well, tomorrow we are going to take a class trip down the Nile." "Hooray!" they all shouted. "Do you have your lunchbox?" asked Mama. "Yes, Mama," said Bill. "Now, Pete, don't forget to brush Bill's teeth," said Mama. "I won't," said Pete. "Have a good time and listen to Miss Ibis and do what she says Mama. "Goodbye, Mama," said Bill and Pete. "Does everyone have their partners?" Miss Ibis asked. "Yes, Miss Ibis," the crocodiles answered. "Then forward, swim!" "Ooh," said the little crocodiles. "There's the Grand Hotel." "Ooh," said all the little crocodiles. "There's the Sphinx." "Bill," said Pete, "look at the man in the big car with all the ladies." "He must be a pharaoh," said Bill. "Watch out for the bad guy," whispered an old crocodile to Bill and Pete as he swam by. "Stay in line," said Miss Ibis as the Nile Queen went by. "Ooh," said all the little crocodiles. "Here we are at the pyramids," said Miss Ibis as the class stopped ashore. Miss Ibis bought the tickets and they all went inside. "The guide will hold a big mirror to help light up the passageway so we can see," Miss Ibis explained to the class. "Now, as I told you all, the mummies and all the riches are no longer kept here. They're in the Royal Museum where we will visit next, and where we will see the Sacred Eye of Isis." "Ooh," said all the little crocodiles. The class saw mummies and sarcophaguses and the Sacred Eye of Isis. "There's that man again, Bill," whispered Pete. "He sure looks familiar." And then they sat down to eat their lunch. "Miss Ibis, may I be excused, please?" said Bill, and he and Pete went inside to find a restroom to brush Bill's teeth. "Ah, look, Bill," said Pete. I thought I recognized him. The bad guy. Oh, Mr. Bad Guy, don't!" cried Bill. "You'll have bad luck." "Shut up, you walking suitcase," yelled the bad guy, and he locked Bill inside the sarcophagus. "You can't do that to my friend," shouted Pete, and he flew into the restroom to get some toilet paper. "Take that," said Pete, and he flew around, and presto, the bad guy was a mummy! Then Pete untied a guard who let Bill out of the sarcophagus. "And where have you been, William Everett?" scolded Miss Ibis. "Why, those two fine fellows saved the sacred Eye of Isis from falling into evil hands," said the head of the museum. "The bad guy's being taken to Cairo and put in jail, and as a reward, we're going to send you all home on the Nile Queen." "Ooh," said all the little crocodiles. "And so, Mama, that's what happened on our first class trip," said Bill. "My goodness," said Mama, "what an adventure!" "And Miss Ibis was right," said Bill. "The sacred Eye of Isis does bring bad luck." "Especially to bad guys," said Pete.